Call it how it is. Hit it. Promise to swap. Every bit. Yo. Percocet. Percocet. Represent. Chasing shit.
Okay, first things first. I first started off with putting Vaseline all around her surrounding skin and area of her hair. This is just to make sure that if any dye gets on her skin that it does not stain the skin, it's easy to remove, and also it just creates a barrier so the chemicals do not burn the skin. Once I start coming to the end of basting the perimeter of her hairline, excuse me, I'm going to go in with the L'Oreal High Color, and I'm using the colors red and magenta. I'll be using these two brushes to mix my dye, and I'm also going to use this little mixing bowl to do so. I am using Clairol's developer, and I'm only using 20 volume developer because that is what the dye requires you to use. So in order to get the tube open, you just untwist the cap, twist it, take the cap off, and you puncture a hole into the dye. And then you begin to squeeze the dye into your bowl. I use one full tube of the red dye, and I use half a tube of the magenta dye just to tone down the red. I didn't want it to be a too bright of a red. I wanted to have a little bit of a darker undertone. So once I get all the dye in there, I'm gonna go ahead and start pouring in my developer. As throughout this clip, you're gonna see me pour the developer in there about two more times. I just pretty much pour it and like I kind of pretty much just eyeball it honestly until I find the consistency that I like to use. But it's really all in the stylist or whoever's dyeing your hair of how they want how thick or loose they want the texture and consistency of the dye to be. And here in a few, you'll just see what the consistency that I like my dye to be when I'm dyeing hair, which is somewhere about in this range right here. Once I found my perfect consistency for my dye, I'm gonna go ahead and start to split the hair in half. I split the hair in half because I do have another bottle of red dye and another half of the magenta dye to use. But I am going to use this first batch of dye that I mixed for the whole back section of the hair. When dyeing dreads, you want to make sure that you take your time and coat each and every last dread and make sure that the dread soaks up the dye. I'll show you in my next clip. So right here, you just see me asking her, like, does she want me to dye her roots or not? And we ended up going back and saying no and just dyeing the root to tip. But you see here that I am starting to dye with the brush, and I later on just toss the brush because the brush is only going to coat the outside hairs of the dread. You want the hair to soak up all the dye. So I'm gonna toss the brush and I'm gonna just take my time and coat my fingers with the dye and just patiently and thoroughly rub the dye through the dread, making sure that each hair on the inside of the dread soaks it up. I want every inch of her hair to be red. I don't want the outside to be red and the inside to be black or anything like that. You want everything to be one color. You want everything to look in unison. And you just want to take your time throughout the whole head and do the same process, making sure you coat your fingertips and take your time in rubbing the dye into the dread. As you see here, I'm taking my time and rubbing it up and down, pressing it in the hair, just making sure all the hair on the inside of the dread gets coated and may change the color too. So I actually did not record me dyeing the top of the hair. You will only see me dyeing partially the back. But in this next clip, I will just show you the ending result of how her hair looked. I will show you the wet version, and then I will show you what it looked like dry the next day.
Call it how it is. Hit it. Promise to swap. Every bit. Yo. Percocet.